As president of Hamptons-based luxury home builder Telemark and founder of the Hamptons Green Alliance, Frank Dalene is involved in the residential construction sector in more ways than one. His patented ICEMAN methodology helps homeowners and builders track the life cycle of construction emissions from material production to at-home application. With the help of ICEMAN and increased tax incentives for energy-efficient construction from the recently passed Inflation Reduction Act, Dalene says the future of green building is bright.
About 10 years ago, I founded the Hamptons Green Alliance, which is a not-for-profit organization of people who collaborate together to build groundbreaking, innovative homes. We built at that time, it was about 2010, we completed a home in Watermill, and it was the largest LEED Platinum home in the country. It was the first home, it was the first building where the carbon footprint of the construction stage was measured. I invented that methodology, or I actually applied the science from the greenhouse gas protocol to building, and it was the first time that was measured. And we had a third party certified, and we certified it carbon neutral. So that was a groundbreaking project. I was invited to submit a paper to the American Institute of Physics, Journal of Renewable and Sustainable Energy, about the building of this house. That was peer-reviewed and published in 2012. So since then, this methodology that I developed to measure the carbon footprint of homes, building is manufacturing. So I developed it to include all manufactured products and mathematically convert it into an indexing system from 1 to 100 that the consumer can understand very easily, which indicates the carbon footprint of that product. Not only the making of that product, but the carbon footprint of all the materials going all the way down to the supply chain to when the natural resource came out of the ground. About 78% of carbon emissions worldwide comes from burning of fossil fuels. So really it has to do with measuring the amount of energy of especially fossil fuels, but there are products that in the manufacturing of a product, for example, concrete. Concrete has one of the highest carbon footprints of materials, I think second to aluminum. And in the making of concrete, there is greenhouse gases that are released in that production of getting those clinkers out of the limestone. It takes a lot of heat, which is a lot of energy, but there's also carbon emissions that get released from that. So, sometimes it's during the process of manufacturing, but most of the time it's the energy that's being used. So every time that a human hand touches something, whether it's through transportation, whether it's from using, equipment or any kind of equipment that burns fossil fuels, that we can measure. A lot of money allocated to this now. It's increasing the tax benefits. For many years, the tax benefit for renewable energy, for example, putting solar panels on the house, kept going down incrementally every year. So when I put it on my house, it was 50% of the initial cost. I believe it's now 30%. So they're raising that, and they're including all kinds of other energy saving equipment that you may be putting in your house. And what's interesting about this one, there used to be lifetime caps to certain things, but now they're looking at it an annualized basis. So, a homeowner can spend $1,200 a year. And so what they can do is budget different things, in more of a sequential way. So let's say this year you focus on windows, next year you may focus on, doing something else, and maybe replacing the appliances, for example. So that $1,200 a year tax benefit, I think, is going to help a lot. I think it is because these tax incentives have been going on for some time now, and and a lot of them have sunsetted, right? So they have ended, and they have also, some of them have been, the incentives have been reduced to a level where it may not pay to do it, but I think this is going to be a great help, and I think it'll make it more long term. And then once this expires, of course, uh, just like today, a new bill is being passed. Depending on what the progress is, and how everything is implemented in this bill, right? Because it's the execution of it that is really the key. It all sounds great, right? But the execution of it has to be good, and it has to make sense, and it has to make some real changes, right, in our habits and what we do, and how we use energy. And if we meet those goals, then it should be extended again, because there's a lot to do. The first thing I say is exactly what you said, actually, is that people can't relate to it, right? It seems like a lot, right? So this is why I developed ICEMAN. And I turned it into an indexing system, because the measurement for carbon emissions is in metric tons, right? First of all, we're on the English system, not the metric system. So we don't understand so much, how much a metric ton is. We understand how much 20 pounds of propane is in a barbecue bottle, right? We know what that is. We can visualize that. But what's a metric ton, and how much is that, and what does that look like? And so that's something that's kind of confusing to us in this country. And it does sound like a lot, but there's a lot that can be done when you think about all the emissions that are all the greenhouse gases that are being emitted from all the homes. Think about vehicles. Once you get a renewable grid, now you really have a structure, an infrastructure, actually, that can support charging electric vehicles, because actually it's much better in saving carbon emissions if you have an electric vehicle, that you have solar panels on your house, or your grid gets converted to a renewable energy grid with offshore, with solar farms. There's a lot of solar farms being built on Long Island now, and I know it's being done in California a lot, and in the deserts. Take advantage of that energy that we're getting from the sun, and when you're charging electric vehicles with renewable energy, now it makes sense. It faces change with hesitation for good reason, right? So that's not bad, right? So, and it takes time. This is not something that happens overnight. It's a gradual transition. I'm beginning to believe that we will never get rid of natural gas or methane, right? So, and it's better to take that methane and burn it, than it is to release it into the atmosphere, because methane is 32 times more powerful than carbon dioxide itself in creating global. So methane is it's the worst gas that there is, and it's produced by putting bio waste into landfills. It creates methane, and that gets released into the atmosphere. So I don't believe we'll ever get away from things like that. We're getting there, and there's a lot of moving parts right now, and there's a lot of things to look at, and we'll begin adopting it. And just like any technology, there emerges a winner. There are going to be winners, and there are going to be losers, right? Depending on what the cost is, what the benefit is, financial benefit is, right? When it saves us money, that's a great thing.